Hey, this is the Superpower Radio Show with your hosts, Brenda Major and
Mia Dawson.
we are excited. We've now been podcasters for a minute, so we want you to know you can catch us wherever you get your favorite podcast, as well as on our Instagram and our YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Please like and subscribe, not just because we want you to, but just because we know that you're going to need the information, you're going to like the information, and you're going to share the information.
Yes.
So, and we don't want you to miss anything. And we definitely don't want you to miss our special guest today, Miss Tangy Williams. Welcome to the Superpower Radio Show.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right. So we met Tangy just this past week. We love her. We love her personality. We haven't met her wonderful son, Nicholus, yet, but maybe we will on the show today.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about your journey with autism? How did it begin?
My journey started with the diagnosis of Nicholus at 18 months. Nicholus was relatively normal childbirth. Nicholus was developing absolutely in every stages perfectly. He's sitting up, smiling, giving eye contact. But then all of a sudden, around, I would say, we noticed it, my husband and I, he's not here. I think the Bears just started, so he had to get that. That's a ritual. But I digress. But yeah, about 15 months we noticed.
Okay.
But before 15 months, Nicholus was talking, walking, everything was just fine. Then all of a sudden, it just came to a halt.
Wow.
Yeah. And
what was the first thing that you noticed that just came to a halt? Like the talk, what was the first thing that?
Not the talking.
Okay.
That slowed down a little bit, a while coming up. But
Okay.
what we would call his name, and that's the first. And when we would call his name, he wouldn't respond.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So,
okay.
And so one of the things that we did was get his ears checked.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And when we got the ears checked, it came back, nothing was wrong with his ears, his vision. And then the doctor noticed when she would put him on the table for getting ready for examination, he would stiffen up. He would get really, really stiff to touch. And to this day, you gotta come. You gotta say, "I'm coming in, Nick."
Okay.
He'll kind of stiffen up. He definitely is a hugger, and he sense when you need a hug, definitely.
Okay.
But he's the one that has to introduce it to you. You
Okay.
just can't come and hug him. You gotta wait for him to hug you. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, that's what it was, the hearing. We thought, and then once we found out that wasn't an issue and non-responsive and then the doctor, before she did a lot of testing, and this was in 2001. And I'm stating 2001 because now a lot of modification behavior science and services are now covered through medical insurance.
Good point.
Testing. But in 2001, it was not. So just imagine a new mom, I think I was like 27, 28 years old. We were just, my husband and I were just starting our career.
Yeah.
So testing, what we had to pay for was definitely, we did it, but it was absolutely a struggle to come up with $1,200, $1,300 just in testing.
Oh my goodness.
What kind of results were you getting? Because even back then, they still weren't really identifying it specifically at that point.
They were just saying that there were ill males and neurological developing and this was saying that they were that he was definitely developmentally delayed.
Okay.
There were some things if I'm not mistaken, this is some years ago, so I can't remember exactly, but I know that they were saying something what is one word that stands out to me, fragile. They wrote that word out really big. Fragile, something dealing with the nerve systems and some issues with the brain waves weren't where they should have been. And basically, and the way they were talking to me, it was really like a foreign language because I was not prepared and I wasn't expecting it.
How did you first feel about it? Because we hear this so many times that it starts just out of the blue. They immediately start to lose the functions that they had.
Yeah.
And so I imagine it sends you kind of on a roller coaster.
It was denial, grief, sadness. It was all of that. But I could say the first few days of when the neurologist gave me the results, the first few days, I simply was sad for days at end and feeling, and I can say it now, a little guilty about it. I feeling sorry for myself. I was feeling sorry for myself. How is I'm already struggling. I have an older son, and now here I am with a child with a disability. And it was all about me. It was all about me, all about how I was feeling, how other people was gonna think about me having a child with a disability. What are they gonna say I did? Are they going to suspect that I was on drugs? Are they going to expect that there's something mentally ill, any issues going on in my family? Because like I said, everything was about Tangy. Nothing at that time was about Nicholus. But I could say this through my beliefs in God, I remembered upbringing. And one of the things that I grew up learning, knowing where your help comes from.
Well, that's a good point, because when you're thinking about, I mean, I know you're going in the spirit realm, but
yes,
but even before you got to that point, when you were, at your lowest, you could have just sunken into a depression. How?
Yes.
Who was around? I know your husband was there, but who was your immediate support system that really kind of helped you to get out of your own feelings?
I have still, and to this day, like I am from Louisiana. I'm not originally. A lot of my family is still in New Orleans.
Okay.
So friends, co-workers, teachers, Nicholus schoolmate parents. We were all supporting each other. And I hear this all the time about people. Sometimes when you come from a family, you may come from a small family, you may be estranged from your family, but you'll be surprised how big of a family you have in our population.
Wow.
Because it's always somebody that, because it got so prevalent, especially after 2001, everybody, it's not no one I don't know that doesn't have a child with some sort of disability. So our population and our community is strong. I definitely, and I can say this because they told me I can, to the Pope family, they brought me in, and that family is, Nicholus don't know any better. They're not blood, but they're blood to him.
That's
His Uncle Wayne is a barber. like I said, it's the community. If
Yeah.
something was going on in the daycare, there were some issues that they had to go, he would go get him. He would go get him from the daycare center.
Mm.
And then when I pick him up from work, his hair was cut.
Okay.
And he couldn't go nowhere else but to Uncle Wayne for almost into his adult years to get his hair cut. So it
you
was
had a strong
a
support system.
strong support system.
So to some of our listeners who may be thinking they're all alone,
Yes,
I think you might say, you never know where your help is going to come from.
that's right. You never know. Yes.
Don't
But
feel like it's
I
all
know.
just about you.
I know we're mine, but just know that there is help. There is help out there, and just there's an old saying, a closed mouth won't get fed. So just speaking on it and talking about your issues, you never know who has already been through it already. And I'm telling you, I had an issue, and I'm gonna go back to that first day when the doctor called me at work.
Mm-hmm.
Called me at work. Actually, it wasn't the primary care physician, it wasn't a pediatrician, it was the neurologist.
Okay.
Some people just don't have bedside manner. That
Oh.
particular doctor didn't. So he called me at work, and gave me the diagnosis. Sitting at my desk, I had just finished up with a customer, and he tells me, my son is developmentally delayed, and you need to come in so we can explain everything in detail to you. I can't even, after he said what he said, I can't even tell you all of what he said, because I broke down. I cried in front of other customers. I cried in front of coworkers for a complete hour. Nobody could not do anything with me. My supervisor had to come and get me and bring me into her office. That day I was distraught. It took me to a place. But again, I didn't have to stay in that place. Why? Because the young lady that sits right behind me, that's why I said closed mouths do not get fed. The lady behind me, her nephew did not know it before the issue that day. Her nephew, which his name is Nick as well.
Oh, okay.
Her nephew, Carolyn, her nephew was diagnosed. And at the time, Nick was about maybe 8 or 9 at the time. And she was one of the ones that was really assuring to me. When you hear other people's stories and you hear how her and her sister got through it, and Nick is flourishing now and doing well now, that helps. Just hearing that my sister was there where you are, and it's gonna be a road. And I'm not gonna say hard or easy, but it's gonna be a road that you gotta go through.
Yep.
But you will make it.
Yep.
He will be okay.
Yep.
So at that time when you got that news, did you know anything about, I mean, I don't even know if they were using, the term autism.
Autism, yeah.
Did you know anything about it? And,
No, ma'am, not at all. Not at all. And I'll take it back, because my background is in psychology and rehab services. That's what my degrees are. So yes, from the textbook side. And and then going to when I went to school, they didn't speak of it. A little paragraph, snippets of it. So it was nothing really detailed about this particular diagnosis.
Okay. So knowing about it is very different than now. It's like right in your
face.
In your face.
Yeah.
In your face. Knowing about it in regards of having a test and just all you're doing is citing a paragraph or a 2-sentence answer is different than actually living through it.
So I have a question. How did your husband respond? Because the men usually respond differently than the women. So
Yes.
how did he respond?
I'm gonna tell you, and I wish he was here so he can.
Okay.
He well, he will probably deny it, but he was sad, but he didn't show it. He
Okay.
was really for years. He was for years in denial.
Okay.
He was in
Wow.
denial. Oh,
Okay.
he's gonna grow out of this. This is and that's nothing's wrong with him. And a lot of people in my family felt that way. Oh,
Okay.
he's just stubborn. Nothing's wrong. But as the years went by,
Mhm.
he really came to the point of understanding that, and when he got on board,
Okay.
he really got on board, and when he understood that this is something going on,
Mhm.
that made a whole lot of difference because I had the support right in the house.
Okay.
When you had the
Okay.
support, and because when you in it by yourself, it's hard. I know
Okay.
it's hard.
Mm.
So it made a whole lot of difference because I know he was blaming himself too, because I was blaming
Yeah.
myself. Like I
Yep.
said, I stopped taking my prenatal vitamins during my pregnancy.
Okay.
So that was the first thing that came to mind. I took my prenatal medicine all through my first son's pregnancy, and he is fine. The only thing difference is that I stopped taking my prenatal medicine during his pregnancy. So I talked to my doctor, said that's absolutely was the case.
Right.
You stopped taking your medicine was not the case.
Right.
No. So it's this thing at that point, they said that the doctor didn't really know the cause.
Right.
Isn't it funny
they didn't really know.
Right.
Isn't it funny that the first thing we do is blame ourselves, but that doesn't solve anything.
Doesn't.
Because Tangy, I
Yeah.
did the same thing. I tell the story. I did the same thing. You're like, I had a same like you, was a beautiful pregnancy. I had no issues. I tell the story all the time. I felt more healthy or pregnant than I do not. So, I mean, it was,
Right.
I felt fine. And then it's like, boom. So now you are questioning, oh, what did I eat? Would I do something? Yeah, you are immediately blaming yourself. Immediately. Yeah.
And I'm glad you asked about, how her husband was dealing with it, because a lot of times we feel like, well, the husband's supposed to rush in there and be supportive and say, but it's not that they don't want to, it's that they're dealing with their own feelings. We had other guests who felt like, one guest who said her husband would hardly interact with their child until she was like 2 years old because he felt guilty. He didn't know how to express that. Sometimes that's it. But then when he got it and you guys were, like a team.
We were better than the Bears.
Okay. Now that's not saying much right now. I'm sorry, Bears fans. We're Bear fans.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
But can you share? Right, please, go Bears, go Bears. Can you please share, like maybe some of the challenges where you and your husband had to put your heads together and figure out a strategy?
Yes. Yes. I'm telling you, I would say the biggest challenge was childcare. Like I said, Nicholus is 2 years, he's 22 now. Okay. So the daycare centers, the school systems, they at that time they seemed like they just lumped all of the disabilities into this one little box.
Okay.
So they didn't know that why is he as they say, mainstream normal today, then the next day he's standing on the director's desk. So I can tell you early on when he was a toddler, I went through 5 to 6 daycares before finding the right one.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know they don't say this, and I know this not a saying, but the
Mhm.
6th one was a charm.
But you can say it. You can say it.
And it was, and that's speaking really mildly about the daycare. It was absolutely a charm. This particular daycare, caring, loving teachers, very supportive, great educators. Some of the teachers' aides right now, matter of fact, one of the teachers' aides, and right now is still helping and tutoring both of the boys. And my oldest boy
Wow.
is a senior in college.
Wow.
Wow.
All of those ladies were, even though they were teachers' aides, they were in college to be teachers. Some people in the math profession, and one of them right now is still working with both of my boys.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
Tangy, what was the problem with the other daycares? Were they not, was it his behavior? Was it that did they not find a plan for him? What was because
Yes.
I had issues in the school
Yes.
too. So
Yes.
All of
yes,
that.
yes, and yes. Okay.
All of
Yeah.
that.
I had the same. Yeah.
Yes, all of the above.
All the
But
above.
all of the above. I'm gonna tell you one daycare, and I'm not gonna say any there, nobody there, even the good ones.
Right.
One daycare, I thought that, okay, this is the one. I would say it was around about the 4th or the 3rd one. But they brought, I knew something was wrong when I pulled up, and when I got to the front door, they had Nicholus all packed up and outside.
Oh.
Said, sorry, Miss Williams, this is his last day.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Like they were firing him or something.
Wow.
And
Nicholus got
outside.
fired.
Wow.
They didn't want to have a discussion in front of any of the other parents or any other staff. The director met me outside on the corner.
Oh my God.
So I'm gainfully employed. So okay, this is his last day of daycare. What am I to do?
Right.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Well, like I work at a very wonderful place, and I explained the situation, and they gave me some time. And at that moment, at that time, and FMLA is something, if you don't know about, make sure you talk to anyone, talk to your HR.
Yeah.
FMLA is our friend.
They are. Yep. That's a true statement.
And
That's
it's a
true.
law. It's a law. You cannot get fired.
Correct.
So that day, after I had to find daycare, I signed up for FMLA at that day. I said, okay, because I'm no help to anyone if we don't, because we were a 2-parent household, but I mean, just starting out, just bought our new home, and we needed both paychecks.
Correct.
I wasn't one of those stay-at-home moms in the daytime strolling downtown and strolling. No, we had to work. We had to work. So with that being said, FMLA, I signed up for that. I took some time, and then it got to the point of muscle memory. Got to finding daycares. So, okay, well, I guess I got to get another daycare. So went on to the next daycare.
You're saying it's muscle memory, but what drove you to keep going?
My faith in God, my community, my friends. Like I said, I had, there was a young lady at my job, her nephew, and she kept telling me, my sister went through the same thing. And you're going to get through this. And that's why I said, if you do not have a community, you better find one. All you got to do, and then I'm telling you, the community is almost there, easily to be found. Why? Because more than likely, if you have a child with a disability, they're in a class with other children with disabilities.
Yeah.
Guess
Yeah.
what? Those children have parents, and they going through the same thing you going
Yep.
through.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
So
That's
that
very
really helped my community, my family, my parents, my I can't express how much, like the Pope family, they were definitely there for me. The Kane family, my co-workers at work, they are like my family, because that you spend more time at work than you do at home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a fact.
having that support, and one thing I'm gonna tell you, once I think he turned about maybe 2 or 3,
Mhm.
it's a program called Early Intervention.
Okay.
It's through it's through the state of Illinois.
Okay.
And if you have a child that's been diagnosed, not just for autism, but just simply because they don't diagnose your child at that time with autism right off. It was developmental delay. And if you have a child that's diagnosed in such a way, early intervention is the best thing. Having a good speech therapist, having a good occupational therapist, having a good physical therapist, good teachers will make a world of difference.
Okay.
And they say proof is in the pudding. And as we go through, proof is having that. I'm telling you, having all of those in place and consistently making sure that the therapies and the having the good teachers, having that in place, it will absolutely, your child would thrive. They will absolutely, and they'll be surprised of what they will be.
So now, how did you go about finding those resources? Because I know some of our listeners and viewers will probably say, okay, where do you get that? Where do you get that help? Especially in Illinois, at least we know that they're cutting back on services. So how do you find it?
Well, it's law that the services they're required to give it to you, for one. Okay. And then where I first found out about everything is the pediatrician.
Okay.
My pediatrician.
Okay.
My pediatrician. I know they're just strictly, you would think that you just go take your child to get shots and physical, and that's it. But no, I had a wonderful pediatrician, and she gave me all of the paperwork for to get all of that started. But Easter seals is still around.
Wow.
And
don't hear about them much anymore.
They're still around, and they coordinated. That's who my pediatrician gave me the information, Easter seals, and they coordinated, and they signed me up with speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, in preschool. Nicholus started preschool, but the thing about preschool is it wasn't all day back then. So you still had to have daycare.
Right.
But because because he was diagnosed with a disability, he was able to go to daycare, preschool, and the preschool, the transportation after school was over, the school bus dropped him off at the daycare. So I was able to just pick him up from the daycare.
Okay, so you could work all day.
Yes, I'm working all day. Both of us is working all day. And guess what? Those therapists, they came to the daycare.
Oh, wow.
Yes. The speech therapy, he had speech therapy at the daycare. Like I said, that 6-day care was the charm.
Did it? Yes.
And they allow that. And that's another, like you said, Mia, what was some of the reasons why? That was one of the reasons at some of the daycares, they wasn't allowing this therapists to come in You know, security reason, whatever reason they gave me. I just heard no, so I don't remember all of the reasons. I just said no, they can't do that here.
Just
So,
kept
no. But the sixth one was the charm. So he had at his daycare before I even got to him. He had there was speech therapy on some days, then he had physical therapy on, and that occupational therapy. To this day, I think out of all of the therapies, I would say maybe a tie between speech and occupation, because that occupational therapy, those motor skills are so important, and they are connected to that brain.
Yeah.
And that tying of the shoe, the occupational therapy taught Nicholus how to tie his shoe.
Wow.
I tried. I had a little board with the shoestrings on it.
Yeah.
Nicholus put it in the toilet.
Oh my goodness. He put it in the toilet. He was that avid. Oh my goodness.
So the village, the licensed people, it's no way I can take credit to who he is today.
So as he has grown, he's gone through, I'm imagining, many of the challenges that a neurotypical young man would go through.
Yes.
And how did you and your husband and his brother and the support system, how did you handle, that the hormones and all of the other issues?
My husband was really good with that. He was really good with that, making sure, and then the therapist as well, because I forgot the other there, social work. So social work, they were involved too. All of this was free. All this was covered by the state, and the social workers will have he would have consultations with them between my husband and the social work. Hey, Nicholus, you can't walk around the house without any clothes on. Put your robe, and we would start buying robes that not just boring robes. We will buy robes with characters. He's a big comic book fan.
Okay.
So we will buy things as such that he will be wanting to put on.
Okay.
To this day, he knows that walking around the house, you got to make sure you have your robe on. The social performances, making sure that you're not, because with our kids, the social cues are things that they don't just get right away.
Correct.
So that staring a long time at a person, maybe invading people's space. These are things that a social worker talked to him about.
Yeah.
And it all started, it was even before puberty. All of these people were put in place when he was 2 years old, all the way up to now. And he's 22. So the earlier, the better.
Yes, that's very true.
Getting your team together.
Yeah, that's very true.
Your team together. The earlier you get your team together, the better you. It's don't wait. Being proactive before, because you already know the development is gonna happen. Don't wait till when the development actually happened to start scrambling and trying to find someone. Start and talking about all of this as soon as the child is diagnosed. Get your team together. And if you don't know how to get your team together, I would say first place would help. I don't know, maybe not. It might not. I can say for me, it started at the doctor's office. It started with the pediatrician. And making sure that he had regular checkups and making sure, because not only did she talk about this is physical well-being, once he was diagnosed, she talked about everything that was connected with the diagnosis. So that doctor, so going, trying to find a specialist that can cure it, good luck with that.
Right.
But but I say starting with the doctor, and the doctor also referred me to a good nutritionist.
Okay.
Because what you put in your body, it affects everything. It
Sure.
affects your moods, it affects your sleep, and it definitely it affects our kids and our population.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having that gluten-free diet, I right now, Nicholus, and I didn't, and with the nutrition, and we I don't understand why, but he's not a big meat eater.
Okay.
He's not a big meat eater. And I think that helped a lot too, with his health. His sugar intake is he's not a big candy eater.
Okay.
Red dyes, he doesn't miss that because he never had that.
Okay.
Now we cheat a little bit because he loves Sprite. That's his that's his treat. So he'll have that from time to time. But having a good nutritionist, taking vitamins, because and that's one thing I was big on, because like I told you, that was one of the things I thought that was my fault.
Right.
So,
When you mentioned about the Sprite, we have a friend of our show who mentioned that one of his clients, they do drink a lot of Coke in this case because of stomach issues, digestive issues. So the bubbles, the carbonation actually helps to settle the stomach. So it's okay for him to have a little Sprite.
Okay. And he heard you. So he's already he's gonna remember.
Right, Nicholus.
He's gonna remember that.
Yep.
He's gonna remember that.
So let me ask you this, because from the time he was born until now, I mean, he is an adult. Were there some milestones after the diagnosis that you weren't sure that he would hit that, or there's some things that have surprised you?
Everything and everything and nothing at all because of my faith. But I'm gonna say everything first, and the reason why is because, and I don't blame anybody, because like I said, this is because in 2001, this is what they said, and they said that Nicholus, his reading, math will taper off about a first or second grade level. He would never have speech. He would never talk. No matter what you do and how you do it, and this is a neurologist. This is a man. When I looked on his wall, he had a whole lot of certificates. It was covered up the whole wall. You couldn't see the wallpaper. So, but this is what they told me. They told me that he would never be able to work. He would never be able to live on his own. He would always need support. But I'm gonna tell you, when man said no,
come on now,
and I'm gonna leave it right there.
come on now. So you mean to say that man with all of those degrees on his wall was wrong?
He was wrong.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why he was wrong. Yesterday, well, he just aged out of the school system. He is, as you know, he's 22 years old. He has his high school diploma.
All right.
Nicholus has been employed, Walgreens, comic books store, grocery store. And he just went on an interview yesterday, and he got the job. He's gonna, and fully, because those other jobs, I must say, those were like internships.
Okay.
And that's something is good, that when the kids get of age, when they get to the point of high school age, vocation is very important. Because one of the things that will, one of the barriers, I would say, I'm just going to be bluntly, a lot of people don't want to hire our children, right?
Right.
And hire our young adults.
Right.
So having those internships, even though they're not paid intern, he had a car dealership. Car dealership, a very high profile car dealership. He was an assistant porter. They made this job up. There is no such thing as an assistant porter, but they made it up for Nicholus. And at that particular job, they called him, he had a nickname. He was the tag man. So his job was to put all the tags on the brand new cars and making sure that all they was nice and straight. So when you go and look at the car, you see all the pricings. And that was his job.
Oh,
And
I know he did that good. Oh, I love that. Yes.
he was the tag
He
man.
made sure those tags were straight.
Yeah,
And he made sure they was lined up and straight perfectly. Perfectly.
I love that.
So now you say he went on a job interview for a real paying job.
Yes. And that is something I'm telling you, it's not an easy fare for our kids.
Yeah.
Nicholus is, and I have to say, I didn't say too many places, but I'm gonna have to say this, and I hope this is okay.
It's fine with us.
He's hired by Jewel Osco.
Okay.
And he's starting off as a courtesy clerk. So he's the guy that makes sure that as the customers get their groceries together, they bag up the groceries. He makes sure that he's going to make sure that the carts are in the store. So when you come into the grocery store, you have the cart. And he's being paid, not because most of it, for our kids, they subpar pay. He's going to be making $13.60 an hour, and he's going to be 20 hours a week.
Wow.
This is big. This is really big because that's a struggle, because most of our kids, they want purpose. They don't want to just like if you want to have purpose in life, our kids do too.
They do.
When he finished school, he was like, okay, Mom, now what? I said, well, what do you want to do? And that's something that I challenge all of our parents out there.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not about take it from you. Take it out of from you. It's not about you. It's about them. It's what they want to do and what they see they happy is. What is they happy and what they want to do. Nice. And he wanted to work. He graduated May the 14th. From May 15th to, I would say, July the 26th, we have been applying for jobs. Wow. And we applied, just us two together, we applied for over 200 jobs.
Wow.
He's been on 3 interviews.
Okay.
And this time it was the third one was the charm. I'm not gonna mention the ones that said no.
Okay.
I'll mention Jewel Osco because they said yes.
Into that.
What the first interview, it was on Zoom.
Okay.
And he was a little nervous.
Okay.
I said, Nicholus, I can't stay in the room. You got to do this by yourself. So it didn't go well. It absolutely didn't go well. It didn't go well. Okay. Second interview, I thought it went well. She said that she was going to call. Right now, they're waiting for, and maybe she will call. Kids are going back to college, so they're probably she said, definitely we're gonna need some people when the kids go back to college, but she didn't call. But Jewel Osco in South Chicago Heights, they called, and he starts August the 6th.
Woohoo!
Amazing.
Awesome.
And also with and again, it's about what they want. He wants to go to college. Right
Mm.
now, his reading and math level is not at the level
Okay.
of a college student.
Okay.
But South Suburban Community College, they have an adult literacy program. He's going to be taking his tests, testing, and where they have a program, it's not just for people with disabilities, just adult literacy, math and reading. And
Okay.
they meet you where you are. So
Beautiful.
his appointment is, he's gonna be really busy in August. His appointment is August the 9th to take some testing. So he'll be taking some adult literacy reading and math classes at the South Suburban Community College. So what's going on with him now, he's starting with Jules on August the 6th.
Mm.
On August the 9th, he'll be taking his test for his adult literacy classes. And in his spare time, what he like to do, he played his video games, reading his comic books.
Okay.
It's about Nick. And I go back to what I said right at first. I made it about me. Sympathy for me instead of empathy. Sympathy for me. And I made it
Come on.
about me. I mean, when I removed myself from the equation and I made it about him and asked him what he wanted,
Yeah.
I saw him floor. He's flooring.
Wow.
If
Tangy,
now,
does he need an assistant with working, or can he actually just work independently by himself?
that is an awesome question. And it's a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
He has an open case with
Okay.
the Division of Rehab Services, and
Okay.
he's going to have a job coach.
Okay.
He's going to have a job coach that's going to be working with him for 90 days.
Oh,
It's my job to make sure in tune with him, in tune with the store at about the midpoint
mm-hmm.
to see if he need more assistance.
Okay.
There are laws to protect him and protect his jobs. So
Okay.
if there's reasonable accommodations that he would need, because it might be something we don't know, that he might have a difficulties just punching in.
Ah.
And I'm gonna jump a little bit before he got the job. How about at the interview? Okay, we arrived. The interview was at 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. We got there about 11:45. We went to the customer service desk. And I'm like, okay, should I go in with him? Should I just let him go in there? Something said, go in.
Okay.
And I was kind of hesitant because I didn't want me going in
Yeah, I understand. Mm-hmm.
to deter them.
Correct.
So I went in as if I was in line behind him. And he was in front of me. And I was just whispering to him, make sure you let them know you're here for an interview at 12 p.m. And I know she saw me. So he said, I'm here for an interview for 12 p.m. And I said, let them know that you're here to speak to the person that's going to be interviewing you is Miss Patty. Miss Patty will be my interviewer.
I love this.
And then I was about to say something else. And then before I said anything, where can I find Miss Patty? Before I said it.
All right. He's like, I got it from here, Mom. I'm good.
Yes. And then I got really nervous because then the lady, this is what she said to me. I'm like, okay, now I gotta jump in now. This is what she said to him. She was like, okay, you have to go down aisle 6, make a left, go through some flappy doors, go up a flight of steps, make a left, make another left. I said,
Girl, look, a neurotypical person would not be able to follow those directions. Come on now.
So I said to myself, Tangy, dude, you know your child. You know your abilities. Be honest. Would his daddy even know to do this? So what I did was I went with him and I said, please, Lord, Do not let me going with him deter them from
Yeah.
hiring my son.
Right.
So I went with him. We went down aisle 6. We took
Mhm.
the left. We went through the flappy doors together. We went up the flight of stairs together. We made the left. We made the second left together. We saw a young lady. I said, Nicholus, ask that young lady, is she Miss Patty? Nicholus said, are you Miss Patty? Miss Patty said, yes, I'm Miss Patty. Are you Nick? Nick looked at me. I said, what you looking at me for?
You know.
He said, yes, I'm Nick. So he went in there, and he didn't go in yet. As I was leaving, I said, Lord, make sure he okay at this point.
Yes.
So as
Yeah.
I was leaving and I looked back, I saw him following me.
Oh
I said, no. I said, I have brought you as far as I can take you.
no.
Now it's up to you.
Wow.
He said,
Wow.
okay, Mom. As he went to Miss Patty's office, I left. I went downstairs, little teary-eyed, little
I
nervous.
guess.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And I went, I sat in my car. I texted him. I said, Nicholus, when the interview's over, please let me know. I sat in my car. It was about, I would say about maybe, at that point, about maybe 12:10, 12:15, by the time I got to my car. Sitting there, about 12:30 came around. I said, okay, it's been 15 minutes. And I know when you have a short interview, that's a no-go. Okay. Then it was 12:35. Then it was 12:45.
All right now.
I said, okay, this is long. This is a grocery store. So he don't have to explain nothing about a dissertation. So it sounds good. It sounds good. So he texted me about, I would say almost 12:50. He said, Mom, I'm done with my interview. I texted him back, I'm on my way back to the store. So I memorized the route. So
right.
I went down aisle 6. I went to the left. I went up to the flight of stairs. And I was like, okay. Didn't see Miss Patty, didn't see Nicholus. So Nicholus was calling me. He said, Mom, I told you I was done. I'm finished. I said, well, where are you? He said, I'm at the front of the store waiting on you.
Oh, wow.
Okay, he figured out how to get back.
Figured out how to get back.
Not quite. He was there with one of Miss Patty's associates.
Okay.
And she said, I decided to wait for you because I know he said that you were here and you were his ride. So I wanted to make sure that you guys made the connection. Nice. So I said, okay. So then I got a little nervous. I said, okay. So she definitely knows that there's some issues there.
Some issues there, yeah.
So I was like, oh boy. So I started asking him. Now I had a folder nice and neat for him. He had his resume, he had his reference page, he had his high school diploma, he had a social security card and his state ID. When I opened the folder, the reference page, which was making me like, yes, the reference page was gone, the ID was the resume was gone, the reference letter was gone. I said, well, if they taking all this information, they don't just take it without it. Then he opens his wallet. He said, Mom, my ID has this expired, and Miss Patty said I need a new ID. I said, okay. I said, well, why would they ask for a new ID if he wasn't hired?
Yeah.
So I started feeling him out. He's a little nervous. He's not remembering everything that happened. And his daddy wouldn't either. Remembering everything would have happened at the interview. So I asked him a question. Because we kind of tried to prep a little bit. We had some interview questions. I said, do you remember any of the questions at all? He said, yes. I asked him, I said, what's one of the questions do you remember? And he said, do you remember the question where it says, why do you want to work for Jules? I remember that question. I said, okay. Did you say what we practiced? Yes. I said, I want to work for Jules because I want to be a part of the Jules family. And because he mimicking me.
Okay.
And Jules is my mom's favorite store. I said, you said it just like that? He said, yes, he said it just like that. Then he said, I said, well, what did they say? Because I wasn't gonna ask him too many of the questions. I said, what did they say at the end? He said, well, get the ID. Mama told you, get the ID. We got to get the ID. I said, well, did they hire you? He paused. I said, did they say that you were hired? Yes, Mom, yes. But when he says yes, Mom, real quick like that, sometimes he's not telling the truth. He's not really understanding what I'm saying.
What you're saying,
Right.
right.
And he's tired. Stop talking to me now. It's been a long day. So I still didn't know. I still really didn't know. I kind of knew. I was guessing it sounded like it was good, but I really didn't know. I was just hopeful. Before I can get home, because the store is about 10 minutes from my home, which is another blessing.
Yeah.
Before we pulled up in the driveway, I saw my phone, Jules. And I said, hello. And I said, and she said, this is Miss Patty. Nicholus told me to call you to let you know that he got the job. And his offer was coming the next day. The offer didn't come the next day. The offer came which will be today. The offer came the same day.
All right.
Same day. And we had to do the paperwork. He did his I-9. He did all the citizenship paper and all that good stuff. And now we're just waiting for his criminal background to be cleared. Now he's been in my home for quite some time. So I asked him, I said, have you robbed any banks lately? I said, Mom, no. No. I said, okay, well, I think you're going to be good. So August the 6th, and Mia, to answer your question, yes, again, he will have a job coach.
Okay.
It's called Supportive Employment Program.
Okay.
And they will be working with him for 90 days. And it's up to me, because if I don't say that he need more assistance by the 90 days, then they're going to close the case and he's going to have to start all over. So making sure you keep track of those time frames is very important. So talking to him, in tune with him, talking to Miss Patty, saying how things are going. I don't want to be opposed or bugaboo, but I just want to make sure, is there anything that we can do to make sure he's successful? Talking to the job coach, making sure the job coach and making sure you're doing those staffings with the job coach and Nicholus to make sure everything's is good. Because if it's not by that 90 days, then we'll be in trouble, because the job coach will stop for a while and then he had to start all over. And you don't want to have a break in any of the support.
Right. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yes.
We're just about at the end of our time.
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to meet him right quick?
Yeah.
Nicholus, come on over.
So while he's coming, what are you and your husband's hopes for Nick's future? What do you see for him?
I just want him to be happy.
Oh,
And whatever happy is for him, that's all I want. I just want happy for him. However it seems fit. If he want to work for Jules for the next 30 years, if that's what's making him, if that's gonna make him happy, that's all I want. Is for him to be happy.
Well, we see that handsome
I
face
see
back
it a little bit. You been down a little bit?
You been down so she can see you?
Hi. Hi,
Nicholus.
Nicholus.
And congratulations on your
On
job.
your new job. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So,
Oh.
Tangy, what would you say, because we asked this to everybody, What would
Okay.
you say is your superpower since you're on the Superpower Radio Show? We just saw
Well,
Kid Nick or Superman Nick.
he's coming on. He left
Yeah.
it. But
He flew away.
yeah, he flew away. Well, I would say my faith, my
Mm.
faith in God, my faith in my family and my community, and
Yeah,
keeping a
yeah.
positive attitude in the
Yeah.
midst of it.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
everything has a purpose and nothing is a mistake.
Amen.
Yes, yes, yes.
Amen. Well, that is beautiful.
Yes.
So we knew this was going to be a wonderful conversation.
Yes, yes,
And we're going to be following Nick and probably
Yeah.
have him back on to see how he's doing.
yes.
And so viewers and listeners, again, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, make sure that you like and subscribe so you can follow Nick as well and
Yeah.
learn a lot more about all the wonderful guests that we're going to have in the future. Miss Tangy, thank you so much for just
You're-
sharing your heart and your
Yes.
son with us.
Yes.
So
No, you're
yes.
absolutely welcome. I hope I wasn't too long-winded.
Oh no, you were just
No,
fine.
you gave no, that was great. It was great.
So
Yeah.
you've been listening to or watching the Superpower Radio Show with your host, Brenda Major, and
Mia Dawson.
our special guest, Tangy Williams, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.